Well, on these gray, cloudy days, which we've had many of in January and February here in the Ohio Valley, it's been exceptionally cloudy. Contrast in the woods is hard to find. And I'm going to use the contrast that these beech trees are creating to help us understand more about beech trees. And I've done some winter appearance of some beech trees when the skies were blue a few months ago, and I mentioned root sprouts from an older beech tree. Well, here what we have is some beech trees starting to overtake what is an oak. Got some chinkapin oak, some tulip poplar, and another chinkapin here. So we've got an oak and tulip poplar forest here. With the younger trees coming in are some sugar maples right in the foreground here, a small 4-inch sugar maple, and a whole bunch of little beech trees coming in. So some of these forests in this particular park have large beech trees, but some of them do not, and the beech trees are starting to move in and become part of the forest, and eventually they will become large and they will become dominant with the sugar maples. In the Ohio Valley, that's a common forest type that you end up with if you don't cut the trees down and you don't have anything that destroys the forest from natural activity like thunderstorms, ice storms, or tornadoes. So what we have here is a beech tree that is holding its leaves. The younger trees often do that. I'm going to pause a moment and get a little closer. And as I approach this beech tree, I'll review some of the common characteristics of the beech trees. And beech trees are found in the entire area covered by this channel. That's one tree that you can find just about anywhere east of the Mississippi and let's say north of the Deep South. I haven't spent much time in the Deep South, but I do believe it grows at least to the Alabama, maybe Atlanta area, according to the range maps. So a very common tree with smooth gray bark. Often has these very graceful appearance at the bottom of the tree. The roots come out in all directions and it's kind of graceful appearance. It's not real blunt, but a nice smooth round feet on the tree, if you want to call them feet. They often get those, and it's a shallow rooted tree. That's why those roots do start going horizontal right away. They do not have a tap root. So they do blow over easy, but they live a long time. These beech trees can get huge around here. This one is just getting started, maybe 30, 40 years old, 6 to 8 inches in diameter here. And these are the ones that often keep their leaves. The leaves are dead. They're no longer making food for the tree, but they hang around until the buds start to swell during the beginning of the next growing season in April and May. Got a nice pointed bud right there. You can see it's the same color as those leaves. It's a lighter color than the twig itself. It's more of a bronze color. And the buds on a beech tree are very unique. They do not resemble anything else that grows in these woods around here. It's very pointed and very narrow, as you can see right there. I'll get as close as I can and get it to come into focus there. So that bud is about a 1/2 inch long and maybe an 1/8 inch wide. So very narrow. And they come off the end of each one of these little twigs. And sometimes off the sides of the twigs. But at the base of these buds are where the last year's leaves are hanging around. And as that bud starts to swell and open up, these leaves will drop to the forest floor. But that may be a couple more months. This is mid-February right now, and they're still hanging around, giving us a nice visual contrast. And that is one way you can tell a beech tree from any of the other trees in the forest. There aren't too many other trees that have a smooth gray bark. There are some magnolias in the Appalachian Mountains at the lower elevations and mid elevations that do have that. And I'm going to start getting to those, I hope, soon. One's called big leaf magnolia, but it doesn't really look like a beech tree if you look at all the other characteristics. But we'll try to get to big leaf before it leaves out in the spring. I've got some hikes planned in March in the Appalachians. Hopefully I can find some. In the meantime, here's our American beech tree with its winter appearance. And the technical term for keeping your leaves until spring is called marcescence. I'm not going to try to spell it. It's got a lot of letters in it. But it starts with an M, and I believe it's marcescence. I will try to spell it. And if you look that up, it will give you more information about marcescence, why trees have that characteristic, and why some don't, and possible reasons why those trees do exhibit that characteristic. But for now, this is an easy way to tell you're in a beech forest, either one that's a mature beech forest, or in this case, a beech forest that is just starting to develop. And if you hike in the areas covered by this channel, you will often find these leaves with this bronze tan color on your hikes in the wintertime, and it makes for a nice contrast.